So what I want to do, I want to add to some groups. So that's not giving me a chance. So I shall do that
Share to
later.
group.
Oh yeah, share to group. I've got so many groups.
That's great.
You go out of the way. Can I share it to more than one group? Yeah, let's go for heart circling. Let's go for hemp works. Let's go for fit from within. Let's go for best body. Let's go for... I've got so many groups. I'd like to go to my heart, St Albans yoga and mindfulness.
That's so cool. You can reach out. I didn't know you
St
could do
Albans
that all at the
members.
same
I
time.
didn't. I've never done it with so many people before. I want to do it to my heart circling group. That's really
so
the one that would be search heart circling. Hi guys, I should be with you in one moment. Heart circling tribe. I've already posted it
Yeah, you
there.
got it on that.
Fantastic. Okay.
Yeah.
Hi. We're finally doing this.
We're doing it.
I have been planning to do this interview with Eeshi-Ra. Am I saying your name right? Okay.
Eeshi-Ra.
Eeshi-Ra. For about the last 10 months since I was in Bali in April. And I said I really want to interview Eeshi-Ra. Eeshi-Ra? Because you do something that I'm fascinated with, and that is healing through sound. And the reason that I really wanted to talk about this is because I share so much work in the coaching that I do around healing, around weight loss, around emotional and healing trauma, and sound therapy is a key part of this healing. So what is it exactly that you do? Because I know that I met you last year properly, but I've seen you for years around London and Bali, and I knew that you were a sound healer. What do you do?
Yeah, so do different things. So I'm passionate about sound. I started off life as a singer. I've done pretty much every genre: opera, jazz, hip hop, ambient, trance, spiritual, rock, gothic, pop,
Everything.
And I kind of got really bored of it actually.
Right.
And and I started going on a journey with using sound through my body and using it as a way of shifting my state. And I started, I wasn't looking at any books. I wasn't tapping into necessarily any teachings at that time. I was just tuning in on my body and what it wanted to do. And I was moving my body, and sometimes I was doing it on the dance floor, and sometimes I was doing it in the bath. And I became keenly aware of how the voice is actually like laser technology.
So you were singing in the bath?
I was singing in the bath, but not so much like throw out the idea of sounds which, like a song or a mantra or anything that we already know. But just going into the uncharted territory.
Can you give us an example of what you mean?
So you'd maybe start with a tone, but you'd allow it to get gritty. You'd allow it to go.
Let's do it. Show me.
So it'd be got something like.
Now, I love that, and there are going to be people listening that are going to think that's is a bit
really
weird. Really weird. That's what I thought when I first saw ecstatic dance about 10 years ago. I thought those people are really weird until I started doing it. So can you explain what that is doing?
Yeah. So what I'm doing is I'm allowing the voice to show me vibrationally what's going on in my body. If I'm having a bad day, it'll go into what I call the scratch, which is a place of dissonance. It's a place where my vibration's a bit stressed, I'm not fully coherent, I'm not fully harmonious, and then with the conscious use of my voice, I can actually harmonise my body doing that. And
look at that butterfly. Sorry, there was a butterfly, literally a massive butterfly just came up to you. It was black and white.
They follow me around when I'm talking about this stuff.
Really?
Yeah, and I get bees as well. We may get a bee come and visit.
I have stayed here about 8 times and I've never seen a butterfly come up in here, up here. That's amazing.
Well, everything's vibrational.
Yeah.
So by doing that, and if you look at the world out there, like so much of our life, we are taking sound from our mouth and we're expressing it, right? We're expressing to someone, we may be singing a love song to a beloved, or we're doing a mantra, but it's to a deity outside ourselves, But very little is actually directed in.
So how do we direct inwards?
So what I love to do is ask my body, like, what sound do I need right now?
Can I do that? Can I see if I can find a sound?
So if you just tune in. Yeah. And that was perfect because you see what came with that was the movement.
Yes.
You know, because your body actually said, well, actually, there's something there to release.
Yes.
But the movement actually supports that.
I love that.
And it's just complete, it's really coming back to that awareness of our body and that intuition, inner teacher. You know,
Exactly.
it's tapping into that.
Exactly.
So instead of us looking for power outside of ourselves or looking for someone else to direct us,
We have it.
We already have
We
it.
have
That's why I
it.
call it laser technology under the bonnet.
Wow, that's so true. Because in heart circles, I try and get people to move, and I try and get people to express, but I know that a lot of people, especially where I live, in St Albans, which is just outside London, we're a bit reserved. Well, you're English.
Yeah.
And
Bristol girl.
Oh, Bristol. And I know that people really, especially British people, more than probably many people, find it very difficult to connect and tap into that part of them where the natural is taking over, where our inherent, where we're connecting to that energy. So how do you get people to overcome their embarrassment around this? Because that was my biggest barrier.
Yeah.
I think 5 years ago, before I started doing authentic communication, I have to say I was traumatised I went to a tantra weekend, a beginner's weekend.
Yeah.
And whenever I used to go to workshops and there was sound where people had to move and go, whoa, and just start howling, I would get triggered into my trauma from when I was in my 20s.
Yes.
And they didn't know how to deal with it. And I had to leave on one occasion because I was so traumatised. I've now healed through that, which is my issue with tantra workshops. But how do you get people, let's come in a bit, how do you get people to overcome their embarrassment about connecting with that deep part of themselves?
Well, it's super easy, and to just talk about that for a second.
Yeah.
We are
Thanks for joining us, by the way. Can you give us a heart? Can you hear us
Hey,
okay?
Sarah, Barry, Donovan, Angela, Felicia,
Christine, Mark, hi.
Mark.
Thanks for joining
Hey,
us.
guys.
If you've got any questions, by the way, just pop them in
Yeah.
to the comments.
So, look at society. We're so controlled, and if we're shutting down here, we're shutting down here.
Absolutely.
You know, our sexuality.
Exactly.
It's all linked.
Yes.
You know, and I personally believe that if we heal our sexuality, we heal the planet. Because there is so much going on with that.
Totally.
You know, and that's a whole other.
It's a whole other conversation, and yet it's interesting how many people I know who are doing the work, but are cut off from their sexuality.
Yeah.
And you know, when people, and I'm saying this to my audience, not necessarily the people listening, but I know that it is such a taboo still. The whole patriarch is such a taboo. And for me, sexuality is simply creativity. Yeah. And it's where it's our life force energy. Yeah. And if we can't connect to that, if we have shame around that, and I understand there's shame around the whole pornography thing because it's so it's all wrong, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
The whole thing is just...
Check out your brain on porn. It's completely rewiring the brain in a negative way. Yeah. And it's getting men to, particularly teenage men, to wrongly associate with women. They can't even associate with a real, warm-blooded woman in real life.
Exactly.
It's quite a challenge.
So that is... it's another subject, but it's also the same subject because sound healing. Yeah, where were we?
So when we think about being shut down, it's like... What we're very good at is even policing ourselves and it's not convenient. I don't want to upset the neighbours, don't want to upset Johnny, whoever.
What, by making a sound?
By making any sound. Even through lovemaking. Think how we police ourselves sometimes.
I know.
We're worried about any of that.
So I always had kids in the house. From the age of 21, 22, I always had children in my house. Right. So I was never allowed to make a sound,
Right.
So I trained myself to be really quiet. I mean, when I could make a sound, it was like, what the hell's going on here? Yeah.
So the best way to break through it is to hold ourselves through the trigger, to hold ourselves, make the sound, And if we can step out of that box where we have a rule about how it should sound, or it's got to be pretty, or it's got to be a song, or it's got to be acceptable, you know, throw out that. That's why I demonstrated that, because I let my voice go anywhere.
Yeah.
If I let it go anywhere, then the body can actually go anywhere, which means I can shift my state in any way I need, you know? So best way to do it for you is to do it at home, you know, and to literally ask your body, when I think about, you can even choose subjects, you know, when I think about being abused, the sound my body wants to make is. When I think about that teacher.
Okay, let's just come back to this, because this is interesting, because I as I say, I went through trauma and I was very, very triggered by sound. So what you're saying is that if someone's been through, for example, sexual abuse, you would invite them to go back to that time and to make the sound.
Yes.
And that was the sound when people were doing that in workshops that was triggering me, because their trauma was bringing me into my trauma, but I couldn't let it out, because I thought when I would let out my trauma, it would take me back to that time. I didn't want to go there.
And that's fair enough. You'd go to it when you're ready.
Yeah. And I've been there, but just saying it is taking me back to that feeling, you know.
And the body's got the memory, you know. It's already got the memory of everything that you have been through in your life. And if you believe in past lives, we've also got that going on, you know. And all we need to do is just unravel. I tend to take the view that all our life experience is like this big rope, which has, you know, been tightening and tightening and tightening. Different experiences. We've got more stress, we've got more contracted, we've shut down in different ways. And now the voice can completely unravel it. If I give my permission,
I love that.
you know, to go anywhere, and I can just say, body, where is this held? What is the sound? Because the sound connects to the emotion. Once the emotion is felt, it can be embraced as long as you hold it in a space of unconditional love, just like a mother to a child.
Yeah, and that's
you know?
the key point, which is what I was going to say, is that if you're doing this kind of therapy with somebody who's not absolutely trained and qualified in this, it would be a very unsafe experience, which is what I had in London on this Tantra weekend. So what you do is you're holding the space, very safe, sacred space.
And then if we take it another step forward. So when I started doing this with myself, and I started just literally feeling like my whole energy field shifting, like my physical structure, and there's no matter actually, we're just energy. Like Einstein said, you know, we're actually all wrong about the science, you know, that we're just energy. And the beauty of that is that it means that all of our energy can be shifted as soon as you're ready. It's like we don't, you know, we don't have to wait, and we don't have to say, oh, well, that's just how it is, and that's how it's going to be, and that's the rest of my life. No, we're not limited. We're only limited by what we decide we're limited. You know, if you look at epigenetics, Dr. Bruce Lipton, he talks about all that.
Yeah.
You know.
Amazing guy. Amazing guy.
So if we take it to the next level and we go, okay, well, how about I now take the voice, but I actually consciously tune it. So once we've done a bit of clearing, we can go deeper in that clearing and we can tune it with a frequency.
Oh, wow.
Right?
Your tuning fork.
Yeah. So this frequency is really known for purification. It's a clearing energy. It actually grounds us. And it's in the Bible, it's talked about. It has the energy of salvation. It's like, well, what is salvation? Like, I'm not a Christian, just so you know. But I do follow some of the things in the Bible are actually amazing teachings.
Absolutely.
Salvation is like coming back to ourselves. Salve, it's like a healing for us, you know. And it's like, what are we doing on the planet right now? We're shifting from a place of fear and disconnection and stress and, you know, everything's in chaos, to a place of reconnection and unity and coming back into a more loving
resonance.
place. And more resonance.
Yeah.
And this is a way of doing that. So
this is why when I first met you and I heard you talking about what you do, I could feel your passion.
I'm so passionate.
I know you
about
are, and because I'm passionate about what I do, I just was just like ding, someone mirroring my passion. Yeah. So what? So do you use this as a healing modality with people?
Yeah. So this won't travel so much over the internet because it's quite a delicate instrument and it gets a little bit. But what I can do is I can demonstrate it with the voice. So if you're watching, Felicia, Angela, Christine, Mark, Danielle, and anyone else who picks up on this later, invite you to just close your eyes and take a few deep breaths, have both feet on the floor, and take a few deep breaths into your belly. And what we're going to do is we're going to hum this frequency, and what I want you to do is to ask your body what it wants to do with it. So you're going to hum, you're going to keep that sound inside the body. You're not going to lose any energy by taking the vibration outside.
So are we singing it out or just inward?
Just humming it in.
Humming.
Keep your spine straight. Is there a movement that wants to go with that? This is a clearing and grounding energy. Does the sound want to change? Not change the pitch, but does the timbre want to change? Once more. Notice what it's doing to your body. Take a deep breath. Keep your eyes closed. And notice if anything has shifted in your body. Perhaps you feel more space, more lightness, more freedom, more aliveness. And this was just a few minutes.
It's amazing.
Think how, that's like when I work with clients, it's like they go into a whole journey where their body completely directs the show. It's like, if we just tune in the body's bursting.
I know.
It's so bursting to help us. And if we just follow it, the body will go, think about somebody who's had a car accident. Like the car impact has come in from the right, they're driving, in the UK or whatever, and the car's come in from the right, so the body's gone into a contraction where it's compressed in the shoulder, and then it's tightened in the neck, and then it's contracted in the hip, So to unwind that, generally the body will show you the neck first, because that's what happened last, is because it's an unwinding, and then it will go to the hip.
So you would use this sound therapy for people who have been in a car accident?
Yeah, absolutely. Chronic pain, poor energy flow, reduced mobility, nerve damage. Like people have come to me, they've had 7 years of pain. One session. They're pain-free.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
And what I love is showing you how to do it for yourself. Like, I give you all the tools, and you go off and do it. And then you share it, actually, because there's so many people out there that aren't necessarily going to have access to something like this.
Absolutely.
And,
absolutely.
And I love seeing.
And again,
results
I have to go back to where I'm from, just outside North London, and I do find that generally the population there are frightened of this sort of work. I mean, I want to bring it more and more into St Albans, but people are very wary of this kind of hippie stuff, new age stuff, and it's becoming scientifically proven. This is what gets me, is when a lot of people who are in the science and the sort of techies, all the techies, and I've noticed they'll say, well, I know this is very woo-woo, but
science now proves.
Exactly, they still call it woo-woo, but we're really into this,
Yeah, and actually, there's research out now which is showing there's a way of directing our consciousness which is 100 times stronger than what most of the meditations that are out there teaching us.
Wow, that's interesting. That is interesting.
So if we know that we can actually harness that we can harness our power in a way which is completely empowering. I don't actually need someone else. Sure, if I've got a virus, then I might take some drugs,
Yeah.
But a lot of this stuff, where the energy flow is not happening, you know, I can actually sort a lot of that out. You know,
it's amazing.
I had another lady, she came to me, she'd fallen on, she had a near-death experience actually, she'd fallen onto a stone floor and she knocked herself out, and when she came out of that experience she had all this pain down one of her legs, and she couldn't then walk upstairs comfortably, she couldn't exercise at all.
What brought her to you? How do people hear about you?
It was a really interesting synchronicity.
It has to be.
She was hanging out with ecstatic dance. She's a Muslim lady, and she completely ostracised from her community.
Was this in London?
No, it's in Bali.
In Bali?
Yeah. She'd been ostracised from her community, and yeah.
The bird here, by the way, I thought for years and years, I thought it was a special bird that does a wolf whistle, but I learned last year that they train it to make that noise. They trained it. It's not a bird that goes woo, woo.
I know, I didn't know that was one. Yeah, so she was standing outside after ecstatic dance, and because she'd been ostracised from her community, what she was doing was hanging out with good vibrations, because she was actually super psychic, and she wanted to be around good vibrations. And so suddenly after dance,
wow.
Yeah, you know, she just intuitively felt to be hanging out with us, and then we just got synchronized, you know, in a chat, and she came to me. She was actually, after the first client, she was my first client here in Bali.
Wow.
And it was amazing, because you know what, I gave her all the tools, she went away. 5 weeks later she calls me from Surabaya and she said, oh my God, I can climb steps.
Wow.
Oh my God, I can exercise now, I don't need my driver, and all the pain in my leg is gone.
So listen to this. If you're listening through Fit From Within or My Best Body or the Natural Health Goddess, basically what we're saying here is that if you need to heal from your problem, addiction, eating, if you've got a body that's not serving you, or whatever's going on for you, sound healing is incredibly powerful and can make radical changes in your life.
Yeah, and what particularly is important to know is there are certain frequencies out there which...
I love the way you pick this up and you say, there are certain frequencies with my tuning fork.
Because there's a lot of frequencies out there which don't talk to the body. You know, that a lot of sound healing practitioners are actually using frequencies which aren't particularly useful.
Oh, really?
And so I'm really hot on frequency. What is the frequency? Let's get down right into the detail. Because we are based on this code, Fibonacci. The same code is present in our bones, it's right down to our DNA. And if we start using frequency which taps into that code, the body just goes, hello. Thank you for giving me back my blueprint, my divine design.
I love it. Oh,
you know,
God,
and then the body will just naturally shift out of all those disharmonious places, and it'll come straight back into balance. You know?
Amazing.
It's not difficult, and you know, you don't have to necessarily have a session with me. You can just sit at home and ask your body. You know, go into it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
God knows what I'm talking about.
Isn't it all the time? I was doing live the other day and there's a whoop whoop.
So often it's or the gecko, or like gecko. We got the little lizards that eat all the mozzies. They're great.
Oh bless. And you know what? I don't know how often you come back to the UK, but next time you're anywhere near London, I'm going to get you to come and do a workshop.
Oh, I'd love that.
Studio.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure.
And I'm going to share this. Thanks for joining us, guys. If you're on replay, please click #replay. I'm going to post this into my groups because I want people to hear this amazing woman speaking, because you're so passionate. And, you know, I just love connecting with other people who've got the same fire and passion for healing.
Well, I just feel like people deserve to have a happy, healthy life.
Absolutely.
And so many of us are told, oh, we've got to go to the doctor and we've got to do the pills and
Exactly.
we've got to do it one way.
Exactly.
But there are other ways available to us.
And no doubt, just to finish, you came into this through your own trauma, no doubt, because we all did.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And, you know, I found it amazing. Literally just had that experience of where I felt like it's a laser moving inside my body, and I stopped singing, stopped sounding, and I was like, oh, that's my voice. It's like, wow, that's doing something incredible inside me, you know.
Wow.
So if you're curious, I can also offer you a free 15-minute chat just to tune in with me.
I'll pop your website.
I'll
pop your website in the comments. Yeah.
Thanks
for listening. If you've made it this far, guys, thank you very much for listening. And I'll put Eeshi-Ra's info down in the comments, her website, and whatever you're doing today, have a great day, and I hope you take some of this on board. And when you're finished and you get a quiet moment, just go and shut your eyes and just ask your body what sound it wants to make.
Yeah, change your vibe and change your life.
Yeah.